Hi, yoga teacher. It's Nick here. I'm at the beach. And I don't know if you can hear them, but just over there off to my one side, there's some people doing what in my generation used to be called polar dipping or cold dunking, is the trendy thing nowadays. So there's a bunch of folks doing these cold plunges in the Canadian Ocean and exclaiming and hooting and hollering and woo, woo. So if you hear that in the background, that's what's going on over there. It's actually, I did not plan this, but it's really connected to the theme of this video, which is being uncomfortable. When we start teaching practices like Yin Yoga, it's not unusual for uncomfortableness, and I'm using the word uncomfortable instead of discomfort very intentionally, because I feel like a lot of people don't know the difference between discomfort and pain. So I want to make sure that I'm veering on the side of being uncomfortable. So as a student, when you're new to Yin, it can be uncomfortable to sit in a shape for minutes at a time. Right? We're used to moving from thing to thing to thing quickly. And so sometimes things like boredom can come up, but sometimes it's things even just like emotions, thought patterns. All of these things can also come up. Because culturally we distract ourselves. So a little bit of uncomfortableness comes up. Oh, what do? We get on social media, or we work, or we busy ourselves somehow, or we eat food, or we shop, or we take a drug, or we take alcohol, or we, sex. All kinds of sort of addictive behaviors, whether they're a problem in your life or not, come up when we try to avoid being uncomfortable. Sometimes the uncomfortable that comes up in class is something as simple as boredom. And sometimes it's emotions that are rising to the surface, because if a student never allows themselves an opportunity to be still and quiet, they've just been kind of pushing that all down and ignoring it, or going to deal with that later. Someday when I'm in therapy, I'll deal with that. And so this stuff can start to come up because they're not distracting themselves with their usual coping mechanisms. So in this way, teaching Yin Yoga for the students can be uncomfortable because they're having to kind of sit and marinate in the stuff that they normally don't pay attention to. So that's how the students can be uncomfortable. And again, this could be anything from boredom to emotions to even trauma. All of that can come up. As teachers, this uncomfortableness comes when we think that it's our job to make the students in the room comfortable. Whoa, losing my video camera here. So when we think it's our job as the teacher to make the students comfortable, that's where we get into trouble. And so we can end up talking too much, because especially if you're like myself and you're pretty empathic, you can feel the discomfort in the room. It's like, you can really feel it. And instead of just going, okay, I feel that there's some uncomfortableness in the room, maybe I can use a couple words or one sentence, right, to just quickly talk about how being uncomfortable is part of the Yin experience and it's normal, right? So that's a very quick thing that you can say. What tends to happen is chatter. The chatter happens for two reasons as a teacher. One, because you're uncomfortable, and two, because you don't know what to do when other people are uncomfortable. But here's the thing. Being uncomfortable is part of the Yin Yoga practice. So don't try to take away your students' opportunities to process being uncomfortable. That Yin class might be the one place in the world where they actually get to sit and sort of unearth the things that they normally push away. And this can be really therapeutic. Now, of course, if a student comes to you after class and they're really struggling, it's always a good idea to have a few cards in your back pocket from a therapist that you know and respect, so that you can say to them, You know, do you have support with this? So if they come up and share something that's going on in their life, which they often will, or if they just come up and say that they're dealing with some trauma, you can give them some resourcing, right? You can help them with that. But it's not your job as the yoga teacher to help them with their healing and their uncomfortableness. Your job is just to create a brave space where they can be still and quiet and come to these ahas on their own and experience the feeling of being uncomfortable, whether it be physically, mentally, emotionally, or all of the above, without feeling the need to fix the uncomfortable. And this is really tricky, especially in an industry where we are sold these like good vibes only and all this new age bullshit. So uncomfortableness happens. It's part of life, although many of us neglect it. And so then it becomes part of the yin practice. But here's what I know. When you can sit with your discomfort in the yin practice, whether that's as a student or as a teacher, and you can allow that uncomfortableness to just be there without feeling the need to change it, without feeling the need to fix it, without feeling the need to make it go away, when you can stay, which is not easy, then when you're out in the world, you're no longer on your yoga mat, then you have the skills when something uncomfortable comes up in your day-to-day life to choose, okay, uncomfortable thing coming up. Can I just stay with this and watch it and breathe through it rather than reaching for my phone or grabbing something to snack on or grabbing a drink or a joint or shopping or whatever it is, whatever your sort of default coping mechanism is. So when we as teachers and our students are able to sit with being uncomfortable, that helps us in our life to be able to be uncomfortable. So that I just wanted to bring that up because it's come up in a couple of ways for me lately, both once with somebody I'm mentoring, but then also with a quote that I recently shared on Instagram about learning to stay with the uncomfortable. So this can be challenging as a yoga teacher, and it's not like uncomfortable things only come up in a yin practice. They come up in all forms of yoga. But in yin, it can be a little bit more frequent simply because there is so much still quiet time. Whereas if you're doing like a really active vinyasa flow, it's easier for a student to pay attention to the teacher's voice talking the whole time, or to be just so physically engaged with trying not to fall over and take all of those directions and bring them into their body, that they're probably not just sort of sitting and marinating in their own mind, body, spirit discomfort. So although these things can come up in any kind of yoga, in yin they tend to come up more. And when you're new to teaching yin, feeling uncomfortable with either the silence or with the fact that people in your room might be processing their uncomfortableness, that can be uncomfortable. And it's worthwhile. It's worthwhile to learn this skill. All right, that's what I have for you today. So if you are already a yin teacher and this kind of sparked something in you, if you didn't get anything on this in your current yin training that you have, or if you are a teacher that has not yet discovered teaching yin and you would like to learn how to teach yin yoga skillfully, therapeutically, then I would love for you to join my waitlist for my teacher training. I have a 60+ hour yin yoga teacher training program, and I'll leave a link below this video so that you can join that and get on the waitlist. All right, friends. I hope that maybe this has given you some food for thought about how to allow the uncomfortable to exist without feeling like we need to fix it or make it go away. Okay, friends, have a good one. I'm going to give you a quick shot of the beach. This is where I'm at. This is where I go to recharge and refuel. Enjoy. Bye for now.